to the final practice we'll discuss today during the webinar, and that is change control. The ITIL 4 definition of change practice has evolved towards a balanced approach. Change control is focused on delivering value faster while protecting customers from adverse effect of change failure. High-performing teams focus on breaking down the normal changes into smaller units of work. They move away from the traditional cabs that are heavy and centralized towards a more collaborative peer reviews and decentering that approval towards the business units that can get to this approval faster. They also are maximizing the use of automation. They're bringing in and taking their standard changes and placing them on those rails to improve the flow of work. And finally, they're bridging to the future of infrastructure as code, and they're starting to explore ways to move towards infrastructure changes and move them into a release and deployment practices. This is something that ITIL 4 acknowledges and has something to say about that we won't have time to cover today, but it's an important aspect to consider. When we think about the flow of work through a change control practice, we should ask, where are the bottlenecks? How can I better partner to improve collaboration? And how can I break down larger normal changes into smaller units of work to improve the flow? Keeping with the theme of continual improvement from ITIL 4 and considering the change control practice, what if you had a goal of improving the infrastructure change work throughput by 50%? Where would you begin? Here's a few ideas to explore. You might look at the intake process. Is it easy for IT specialists to be able to raise a change? And is it classifying and speeding up the process of taking that work in? Do you have a cross-functional, collaborative team planning for your changes that require a little more time to understand and plan out? Or is it something that it's simply a back and forth through documents that's not there in different silos or in email? Are your CAB approvals heavy? Is there a way to decentralize those? Bring peer reviews in? Do you lack automation for just even your standard changes to where you can pre-approve them, saving your IT staff time so they can quickly submit it and get onto the work they have to complete? And then finally, are you doing post-mortems and post-implementation reviews for major changes? These are just a few ideas, and we want to look at agile ways of working and learning allow us to unlock and improve this practice overall. Where change management is a heavy process in most organizations, many high-velocity teams are moving away from these legacy approaches or limiting them to the only most riskiest changes. ITIL 4 encourages decentralizing your change authority into the business stakeholders or a peer level. Instead of using a separate committee, they build change control into their normal workflow with relevant stakeholders by centralizing their change documentation in Confluence to increase visibility across teams and improve collaboration when it comes to peer reviews as they're planning out a major change. You may also consider retiring a CAB and moving change approval at the authority level. Here's an example of a major upgrade that's documented using standard change in a Confluence template. Most IT teams lack the ability to track this kind of data, and they use Word or Excel spreadsheets. It's not that efficient. This information is typically locked in tools and processes don't support the team. But by moving to Confluence, we make it easy for IT teams and developers to plan for change. Their interactions are also helpful if a CAB is going to come behind and review this. It makes it much easier for them to greenlight this type of change for implementation. And it also serves as a valuable artifact in the post-implementation review or to other teams. If there is an outage, they can understand exactly what was changed because they can search for and find it. One pathway to streamline your change control practice is through the use of automation into your service desk. This example highlights how one customer automated 70% of their standard changes. That's a significant improvement, allowing the IT organization to better focus on normal changes in their work queue. Let's take a look at an example in Jira Service Desk to see what it looks like for an IT staff raising this type of change request and the results. So we've enabled IT staff to submit a change request from the portal. They can fill out this form. Once they've filled out the change request, they can simply submit it here. And you're going to notice that it's already moved to awaiting implementation. The approval has been handled because it is a standard change. It also sent an automated update back to the end user telling them that it's pre-approved for implementation. It asks them to please update the change request upon completing it. The other thing they will get after 24 hours is a reminder coming back with another automation before the change request is automatically closed. As you can see, we've embarked on a journey to bring our vision of Agile IT service to life. And we've seen some amazing companies around the world adopt and rely on Atlassian for their ITSM and service management practices in their organizations. We'd love to help you join us on that journey. Atlassian's approach to ITSM provides the essentials for out of the box and integrated with a broad ecosystem of best-in-class apps. But many of the times when we engage with IT teams and organizations, oftentimes we find the conversations go right to the tools and technologies that the teams are using. We know these tools are important, but the changes we're seeing in the ITSM space are more about the team's practices, how Agile is impacting the way that they work, that they're adapting their practices, they're bringing in continual improvement. The conversations are also focused on the team and cultural aspect and how they can improve as a team to open up collaboration and sharing, or empowering the teams to make decisions at the level to adapt or learn. And then finally, it's about putting all of this together to deliver greater value to the customer. Now, when it comes to all three of these and holistically thinking about the way that teams work in an Agile ITSM environment, that's where Atlassian can help. In terms of transforming how your teams work, the 3 practices we covered today are just the beginning. Download our guide to ITIL 4 to find all of these practices that we talk about with practical tips, how-tos, and resources that you can take back to your teams and have meaningful discussions.